Hollywood used to make movies for audiences, but now it feels like they make movies for activists, award committees, politicians, and HR departments. Every classic story gets modernized, every franchise gets a reboot, every criticism starts to feel like finger-pointing. And somehow, those behind the scenes still don't understand why audiences are so Welcome to the inaugural edition of Woke Wednesday. And Hollywood gave us a lot to work with this week. I lived in Hollywood for over a decade. I worked in film and television. I love movies. I'm glad I got to experience that chapter of my life, but it's also why I am so frustrated over and over again with what is happening to the film industry. Because instead of pumping the brakes on woke ideology, Hollywood is going full steam ahead. And what would Woke Wednesday be without a little Colbert, too?
Now, an unbelievable cast. Besides Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron, John Leguizamo. Who haven't we seen? Anybody you want to tell us about that's not in that?
We haven't seen Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes, Lupita Nyong'o is confirmed in the film. She's an African woman raised in Kenya, and people are already pushing back because she's playing Helen of Troy, who is traditionally described as fair skin and blonde. Wasn't Sydney Sweeney available, Nolan? Come on. Look, this is not racism. It's literally the mythology. I'm sure at some point during this film, audiences are going to stop feeling like they're immersed in ancient Greece, and they're going to start feeling like they are drowning in woke Hollywood ideology. At least that's my suspicion.
Sat in a room and read the script, and, it was, of course, a big yes. Sadly, I can't say much, but it was such a joy to come back, and to come back now, as you can imagine, being more just comfortable in yourself makes these sorts of, projects more enjoyable, just waking up every day and going to work. So to kind of get to have a Chris Nolan experience again now, that actually really just meant so much to me. Selfishly,
Now multiple outlets are reporting that Elliot Page will play Achilles, although that role still has not been officially confirmed, but Elliot Page is confirmed to be in the movie. And based off Page transitioning, I cannot imagine that the role would be female, so that alone has me confused. And I'm sorry, when I see Elliot Page, my brain still sees Ellen Page from Juno and Inception. That is still what my brain sees. My mom literally dressed up as Juno for Halloween one year. Sorry, I'm just not going to buy this person as some turbocharged Greek warrior. I'm just not. Willing suspension of disbelief only goes so far. And that's the problem with Hollywood. It still just doesn't get it. Audiences are not obligated to ignore what pulls them out of the fantasy. But Nolan and Page worked together on Inception, right? Just saying. Casting for the Odyssey reminds me a bit of what went on with Tolkien's Rings of Power when the first season came out. I love this image here. Fans had problems with more than just the casting, I assure you. I love this image right here. Fans felt like the original material was being butchered, though, because modern identity politics immediately became part of that casting conversation as well. And a lot of those characters were literally described as pale-skinned, fair-featured, blonde-haired people. But some of the elves and the dwarves were actually cast with black actors. Again, not racism. Source material. And audiences are tired of being told that they're somehow immoral for noticing these changes that Hollywood's making. And it takes them out of the fantasy.
The Oscar goes to One Battle After Another.
One Battle After Another. Not sure that would have won 5 years ago. But today? The Academy now has these new rules that in order to qualify for Best Picture, movies have to meet inclusion standards tied to representation, both on screen and behind the scenes. That includes things like actors from unrepresented racial groups, LGBTQ representation, diversity quotas in staffing, internships, production. Now, technically, a movie only has to meet 2 of those 4 categories, But let's stop pretending a moment that this doesn't influence Hollywood, because of course it does, right? I think so. This is why we don't have Sydney Sweeney cast as Helen of Troy, at least in my opinion. You cannot build identity-based incentives into the system and then act shocked when your audience gets fed up. You just can't. The problem here isn't diversity. The problem is when ideology becomes more important than filmmaking. And it's the reason why I think Hollywood's dying a little more each day. It keeps asking its audiences to ignore what their own eyes are telling them. And here's the even bigger problem. Movies like this cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make, and studios have to make upwards of $1 billion just to drive a profit. So while Hollywood keeps doubling down on woke casting, woke rewriting, and ideological filtering, regular audiences keep checking out emotionally. More woke is not saving Hollywood. I hope you had fun with this one. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoy the content. This is a new channel. It will really help me grow. I hope you all have a blessed day. This is the Bleeding Heart MAGA signing off.